Hare Krishna, and we're continuing Raja Vidya, the King of Knowledge, by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, page number 40. Krishna is within, but due to our material conditioning, we do not realize it. Those who are of the nature of fiends and demons, Rakshasim Asurim, think that this material life is all, and that it is the purpose of human life to squeeze out as much pleasure from matter as possible. They try squeezing, but they are constantly baffled. Squeezing material nature is not the process of finding out real pleasure. If we are searching for real pleasure, we have to take to Krishna consciousness. All happiness in the material world has a beginning and an end. But happiness in Krishna is unlimited, and there is no end. In order to get this happiness, we simply have to sacrifice a little time and chant Hare Krishna. In former ages, the great sages and demigods used to sacrifice their whole life for realizing the Supreme, and still they would not attain success. For this age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given an easy process for self-realization, for God realization. All that is necessary is careful listening. We have to listen to Bhagavad Gita, and we have to chant the names of Krishna and listen to them carefully. We should not be puffed up, falsely thinking that our knowledge is great or that we are very learned. We need only become a little gentle and submissive to hear the messages from Krishna. At present, this world is being managed by the Rakshasas. The Rakshasas are man-eaters who eat their own sons for the satisfaction of their senses. Now great regimes have been created to smash so many people for the satisfaction of the Rakshasas' senses. But they do not realize that their senses will never be satisfied in this way. Nonetheless, the Rakshasas are prepared to sacrifice everything to satisfy their whimsical desires. It is very difficult for them to understand the real situation because they are overly enamored with material civilization. Who then can understand? Who then can understand? Those who are Mahatmas, whose hearts have become magnified, understand that everything belongs to God, and I also belong to God. Such Mahatmas are not under the control of material nature. Mahatmanastu mampartha daivim prakritim ashritah. God is great, and the Mahatma's heart also becomes great by serving the great. Mahatma is not a stamp for a political leader. One cannot be stamped Mahatma. One cannot be stamped Mahatma by votes. The standard for Mahatma is given in Bhagavad Gita. The Mahatma is he who has taken shelter of the superior energy of the Lord. Of course, all energies are his, and he does not make distinctions between spiritual energy and material energy. But for the conditioned soul, who is situated marginally between material energy and spiritual energy, there is a distinction. The Mahatmas see this distinction and so take shelter under the spiritual energy. Daivim Prakritim. By serving the great, the Mahatmas also become great through identifying with the superior energy, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, spirit. It is not that they become puffed up and think that they are God. Rather, if one becomes Brahman, he must show his activities in Brahman. Spirit is active, and to become Brahman is not to become inactive. Brahman is spirit, and these material bodies are active only because Brahman is within them. If we are active despite our contact with material nature, do we cease to be active when we purify ourselves of the material contamination and establish ourselves in our proper identity as pure Brahman? Realizing I am Brahman means engagement in spiritual activity, because we are spirit, and our activities are exhibited even though we are contaminated by matter. To become Brahman does not mean to become void, but to establish ourselves in the superior nature, which means superior energy and superior activities. To become Brahman means to be completely engaged in rendering devotional service to the Lord. Thus, the Mahatma understands that if service is to be rendered, it is to be to Krishna and no one else. We have so long served our senses. Now we should serve Krishna. There's no question of stopping service, for we are meant for service. Is there anyone who does not serve? If we ask the president, "Who are you serving?" he will tell us that he is serving the country. No one is devoid of service. Service we cannot stop, but we do have to redirect our service from the illusion to the reality. When this is done, we become Mahatma. This process of kirtana, kirtayantah, always chanting the glories of the Lord, is the beginning of Mahatma. That process is simplified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who imparted to mankind this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are 9 different processes of devotional service, of which Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting are the most important. Kirtanam actually means describing. We can describe with music, words, pictures. Shravanam goes hand in hand with Kirtanam, so unless we hear, we cannot describe. Shravanam, hence Shravanam diaries, Shravanam Kirtanam. We don't need any material qualifications in order to attain the Supreme. All we have to do is hear from authoritative sources and repeat accurately what we hear. Formerly, the Vedas were heard by the student from the spiritual master, and thus the Vedas became known as Shruti, meaning that which is heard. In Bhagavad Gita, for example, we see that Arjuna is listening to Krishna on the battlefield. He is not engaged in the study of Vedanta philosophy. We can hear from the supreme authority in any place, even in the battlefield. The knowledge is received, not manufactured. Some people think, why should I listen to him? I can think for myself. I can manufacture something new. This is not the Vedic process of descending knowledge. By ascending knowledge, one tries to elevate himself by his own effort. But by descending knowledge, one receives the knowledge from a superior source. In the Vedic tradition, knowledge is imparted to the student from the spiritual master, as in Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduh. Submissive hearing is so powerful that simply by hearing from authoritative sources, we can become completely perfect. In becoming submissive, we become aware of our own imperfections. As long as we are conditioned, we are subject to 4 kinds of imperfections. We are sure to commit mistakes, to become illusioned, to have imperfect senses, and to cheat. Therefore, our attempt to understand the absolute truth by our faulty senses and experience is futile. We must hear from a representative of Krishna, who is a devotee of Krishna's. Krishna made Arjuna his representative because Arjuna was his devotee. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. Bhagavad Gita 4.3. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we shall continue in the next episode tomorrow. The link to this book is in the description, so please check it out and read along with us, and we shall see you next time. Haribol.